Hello, everyone, and welcome to our annual webinar on OSAP, NSLSC, and End of Studies. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Bianca, my pronouns are she, her, and I will be leading this webinar for all of you today. I currently serve as Assistant Manager of Student Financial Assistance at Ryerson University, and I'm also a proud Ryerson alum. I have my Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, a certificate in Organizational Leadership, and I'm a current Master's of Science in Management candidate at the Ted Rogers School of Management. Now, I want to be very clear that this presentation is specific to students accessing OSAP only. Out-of-province students have different repayment options and guidelines. If you are an out-of-province student, I encourage you to visit our website to learn more about your home province's terms and conditions. You can find more on our website at www.ryerson.ca/student-financial-assistance. Now, in terms of our agenda, we're going through a lot of content, and so we've broken it down into 3 sections. Section 1 is all about a glossary of terms, creating a shared language so we can all follow along on this presentation together. Section 2 is all about your obligations as an OSAP borrower. So we'll be talking about contracts and your 2 student loan funding portals, namely OSAP and the NSLSC. Section 3 is the real meat and potatoes of this presentation, because we will be going over what the NSLSC End of Studies means. We'll be defining key terms, understanding the process, talking a bit about maintaining interest-free status, going over some important application dates, and then wrapping up with a quick note about Ryerson course intentions. So we'll start with Section 1, the glossary of terms. The first term that I'd like to go over is student loan funding. Student loan funding is government assistance, such as OSAP, that is provided to students to help finance their post-secondary education. The next term I want to go over is full-time. In an OSAP capacity, a student is considered full-time if they are in 3 or more courses per semester. If you are a student with a permanent disability, you are considered full-time if you are in 2 or more courses per semester. For graduate students, for OSAP purposes, you are considered a full-time graduate student if you are in a full-time graduate program, regardless of your course load. The next term I'd like to go over is part-time. In an OSAP capacity, you are considered part-time if you are in 2 or fewer courses per semester. If you are a student with a permanent disability, you are considered part-time for OSAP purposes if you are in 1 course per semester. For graduate students, you are considered a part-time OSAP student if you are in a part-time graduate program, regardless of your course load. The next term I'd like to go over is continuation of interest-free status, or CIFS for short. A CIFS is for students with full-time OSAP loans, and this allows you to postpone repaying your loans while you are registered as a full-time post-secondary school student in an OSAP-approved program. In order to complete a CIFS application, you would submit one through your OSAP portal. The final term I'd like to go over is Schedule 2. This is for students with part-time OSAP loans, and it allows you to postpone repaying your loans while you are registered as a part-time post-secondary school student in an OSAP-approved program. The application form for a Schedule 2 is available on our Student Financial Assistance website. Now that we have a shared language, we'll go over Section 2, your obligations as an OSAP borrower. It's important to understand and remind ourselves of these obligations because it really helps to frame the entire end of studies conversation. Let's start with your responsibilities as an OSAP student loan borrower. OSAP, or the Ontario Student Assistance Program, is a very important program in which you're entering several contracts. This includes contracts with the provincial government, federal government, as well as the National Student Loan Service Center, NSLSC for short. Your contracts with the provincial and federal governments were signed into by completing your OSAP declaration and signature pages when you first accessed the program. Your contract with the NSLSC was entered into when you completed your Master Student Financial Assistance Agreement, or MASFA for short. Part of your contracts state that you will assume responsibility for maintaining your student loans, whether that means repaying your student loans when you enter repayment or establishing interest-free status when you are continuing studies. This means that it is your responsibility to be an active borrower. Staying on top of your student loans, your communications, and other important information is a conscious choice that you need to make. Like a best friend, we recommend checking your OSAP and NSLSC accounts on a weekly basis so you don't miss out on communications or important information. Maybe you're wondering what I mean when I say check 2 separate accounts. So let's explore that a little bit deeper. We'll start with talking about your OSAP portal. OSAP is a government financial aid program designed to help supplement the cost of post-secondary education. While it's not designed to cover all the costs of post-secondary education, it's a great resource to tap into to help finance it. OSAP is a program created by the Ministry of Colleges and Universities, MCU for short. MCU are the folks who govern all the policies in place for the OSAP program. This includes eligibility guidelines, funding calculations for loans and/or grants, and accessing potential interest-free status applications, which we will discuss later. You can think of MCU kind of like the assessors of student loans. They determine your eligibility and how much funding you're eligible to receive. Your OSAP portal is found at www.osap.ca, and this is how you access the OSAP program for each year or semester you are interested in applying for. You can also request funding reassessments, such as reviews or appeals, depending on your situation. In terms of how to contact the OSAP program, you actually do so through your school's financial aid office. At Ryerson, you can do so by contacting us through the Service Hub or by email at finaid@ryerson.ca. A common misconception about the OSAP portal is that students think this is the one portal that they need to be checking for all things related to their student loans, but it's actually one of two. The OSAP portal is not the portal you will go to see a breakdown of all the funding dispersed to you over the years, nor is this where you will go to find information on repayments or tax receipts. This is actually information that's available on your NSLSC portal, but we'll get to that shortly. The image on screen right now is of the OSAP portal, specifically the message center. Think of this like an email inbox. It's where our Student Financial Assistance Office, the government, or relevant government agencies may send you important information regarding your student loan funding. Check it often so that you don't miss out on anything pertinent. Now let's talk a little bit about the NSLSC. You may be wondering, who is the NSLSC? Well, the National Student Loan Service Center, NSLSC for short, is the lender of your student loan funding. Think of the NSLSC sort of like the banker of your student loans. They're the folks that are responsible for releasing your funding, collecting your funding, including your repayment, issuing relevant tax receipts, and this is the portal that you will go to see a breakdown of all the funding that has been issued to you over the years and any potential interest that is accruing on your account. You're also able to track your funding release through your NSLSC portal. So once your OSAP funding is released, you can log on to your NSLSC portal to see exactly where your funding is at and an approximate timeline of when it will be received to either your institution or your bank account. Students are able to contact the NSLSC directly through one of two ways. They recently launched an online chat, which is available when you log on to your NSLSC portal at www.nslsc.ca. You can also contact them by phone Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Their number is 1-888-815-4514. Okay, so we got our shared language. We talked a bit about your contractual obligations as a student loan borrower. We also explained the two different funding portals, OSAP and NSLSC. So now let's get into the next section, which is section 3, NSLSC End of Studies, the main driver of this presentation. End of Studies is a massive event in your journey as an OSAP student loan borrower. So please be sure to pay close attention as we explore what it is, what it means, and most importantly, your responsibilities. Let's start with talking about what it means. End of Studies refers to the last date in which a student was enrolled in studies and accessing either OSAP, a continuation of interest-free status application, or a Schedule II. Very important to note that end of studies is completely separate from your graduation or your convocation. End of studies in the NSLSC context does not mean that you withdrew or completed your degree or certificate. It simply means that you have ended the study period for which you are currently being assessed for. To confirm what the last date in which you were enrolled in studies is listed as, we encourage you to log on to your NSLSC portal to check that out. In terms of who end of studies impacts, well, it actually impacts all students. All OSAP students experience end of studies at the end of every academic year or semester in which they access either OSAP, a continuation of interest-free status, or a Schedule II. If you are not continuing studies into the spring-summer semester and accessing either OSAP or an interest-free status application, then your end of studies may be approaching as we wrap up this current winter semester. If you are studying in the spring-summer semester, depending on your course load, your end of studies may be a bit later. We say depending on your course load because this is important. If you are studying part-time in the fall and winter, and you are planning to take spring-summer courses, we always recommend that you continue studying part-time to keep your loans interest-free. Be sure to either apply for OSAP or the Schedule II form. If you are studying full-time in the fall and winter semester, and you are planning to take spring-summer courses, we recommend that you continue studying full-time to keep your loans interest-free. Be sure to either apply for full-time OSAP or the continuation of interest-free status application. And now, what happens with end of studies? Well, once the end of studies period has passed, you enter what is known as a 6-month non-repayment period with the NSLSC, also known as your grace period. Let's explore what that non-repayment period means. The NSLSC non-repayment period, or grace period, is the 6-month period after you end your studies. During this time, 3 important things happen. Number 1, students are not required to make loan payments, but if you choose to, that's great. You're not penalized for doing so. Provincial loans begin accruing interest the next calendar month following your study period end. On the flip side, your federal loans start accruing interest at the end of the 6-month grace period. Towards the end of the grace period, students receive what's called a digital consolidated loan package through their NSLSC portal. This is a very important package with really important information. It explains your financial obligations, your repayment options, and most importantly, how to maintain interest-free status on your student loans if you plan on continuing studies. Let's talk a little bit about returning to studies after the 6-month period. If a student returns to studies within the 6-month period, interest is waived and they will not enter repayment as long as they reapply for either OSAP, a continuation of interest-free status, or a Schedule II. Let's go over 2 examples, one for full-time students and one for part-time students. We'll start with the full-time students. For full-time students, so this is specifically for students with previous full-time OSAP up until the winter 2021 semester. So you've received full-time OSAP funding, or perhaps you had a CIFS approved, and you do intend to return to studies full-time in the upcoming fall 2021 semester. Your interest will be waived from the end of winter 2021 to the start of fall 2021, as long as you apply for either full-time OSAP or a continuation of interest-free status application. For part-time students, so students with previous part-time OSAP up until the winter 2021 semester, meaning that you received part-time OSAP funding, or perhaps you had a Schedule II approved, and you do intend to return to studies part-time in the upcoming fall 2021 semester. Your interest will be waived from the end of winter 2021 to the start of fall 2021, as long as you apply for either part-time OSAP or a Schedule II application. Now remember, if you are planning to continue your full-time or part-time studies into the spring-summer semester, your end of studies will be a bit later, so you will therefore have a different grace period. This slide is really speaking towards those who had previous fall and winter OSAP funding, do not intend to study during the spring-summer semester, but will be coming back to school in the upcoming academic year. Now, you may be curious when you can start applying for a CIFS or a Schedule II or OSAP for the next academic year. Don't worry, we've also got you covered with that. We'll start with talking about the CIFS application for fall 2021. So again, a CIFS is for students who received full-time OSAP in the past and are continuing their studies full-time, but are not going to be applying for further full-time OSAP. They are advised to complete a CIFS application to ensure their loans are placed into interest-free status while they are studying full-time. This is a completely online process available through your OSAP portal, but you cannot apply yet. The CIFS application for fall 2021 launches as early as 15 days before the start of the fall 2021 semester. So you can begin applying for your CIFS for the upcoming fall 2021 semester around August 28th. As a reminder, you do not need to apply for both full-time OSAP and submit a CIFS application. It's just one or the other. The confirmation of enrollment process that our office completes through OSAP or for your CIFS will let the NSLSC know that you are continuing studies and therefore keep your loans interest-free. Let's talk a little bit about the Schedule II applications for fall 2021. As a reminder, Schedule II are for students who received part-time OSAP in the past, intend to continue their studies part-time, but are not applying for further part-time OSAP. They are advised to complete a Schedule II application to ensure their loans are placed into interest-free status. Now, Schedule IIs for Ontario students are still paper-based, so the paper application is available online at our Student Financial Assistance website. You can't yet apply for your Schedule II for fall 2021. You can begin applying as early as 15 days before the start of the fall 2021 semester. So about August 28th, you can begin submitting this application. You do not need to apply for both part-time OSAP and submit a Schedule II. It is one or the other. The confirmation of enrollment process that our office completes through OSAP or through your Schedule II will signal the NSLSC that you are continuing studies and keep your loans interest-free. And finally, the OSAP application for the 2021-2022 academic year. This is for students who are interested in participating in the OSAP program for the upcoming academic year. And of course, you will need to submit an application. This is a completely online process available through your OSAP portal. And the application is expected to launch in about May, June of this year. So stay tuned to the OSAP website for updates on the official launch date. At Ryerson, we encourage students to apply for OSAP and submit all of their required documents by June 30th to ensure that your funding is assessed in time for the fall semester. Your required documents will be outlined on your OSAP portal once you submit your application. And it's very important that you both apply and submit these required documents as soon as possible, as processing over the spring-summer typically takes about 6 to 8 weeks from the date you provide those documents to us. The sooner you get it in, the sooner we can assess you and get you funding in time for fall semester. Let's wrap up by talking real quick about an important process coming up in a few weeks, and that is course intentions at Ryerson. Now, we did already have a course intention period back in March, so the one coming up is your next and final opportunity to participate in this mandatory student event. If you have not already done so, please complete your course intentions during the next course intention period, which runs from May 12th to May 14th. Course intentions are important for so many reasons. In an OSAP context, it directly determines what OSAP application you need to submit, either full-time or part-time, and it helps us confirm your enrollment faster when classes do begin. So if you already know that you want to apply for part-time OSAP for next year, make sure that when you submit course intentions, you are submitting course intentions that reflect a part-time OSAP course load, which is again, 2 or fewer courses per semester or 1 course for students with a permanent disability. If you know for the upcoming academic year that you intend to apply for full-time OSAP, then make sure you complete your course intentions in the full-time OSAP context. So you are taking 3 or more courses per semester, or 2 or more courses if you are a student with a permanent disability. Very, very, very important to note that the Spring Summer Career Boost program also requires course intentions to participate, and we are still accepting applications for it. So if you are looking for remote campus employment, we do encourage you to look into the Spring Summer Career Boost program and be sure to do your course intentions from May 12th to 14th so that you are able to participate. And that's all. That wraps up our OSAP, NSLSC, and End of Studies presentation. In the meantime, here's 3 helpful resources for you to use alongside this presentation to help you become a more engaged and active student loan borrower. First and foremost, of course, the OSAP website, ontario.ca/OSAP, chock full of a lot of information and most importantly, houses the actual OSAP application. Our Student Financial Assistance website is also a really great opportunity to not only learn more about OSAP, but specifically how we administer the program here at Ryerson and important milestones and things that you need to do as a Ryerson student to ensure that your OSAP gets assessed and dispersed as quickly and promptly as possible. Our Ryerson Student Financial Assistance website is available at ryerson.ca/student-financial-assistance. And then finally, the NSLSC has fantastic videos on repayment of government student loans and grants, more information about interest rates and how they're calculated, and it's available not only on their website, but they also recently launched a fantastic YouTube video with short clips advising on all things student financial assistance. Highly encourage you to check that out if you haven't already done so. That wraps up our webinar for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.